What I envisioned to be one of the most exciting and adventurous layovers turned out to be one of the worst travel days of my life. And my hope is that in sharing my story and my experience, I can help you make an informed decision if you end up in similar situations as I was. So in 2025, I went to Bali, and having been to that side of the world several times, I had always done like a 2 hour layover in Seoul. But I came across a flight where it was actually an 8 hour layover. And so I was like, this could actually be really cool because I've heard some really good things about Seoul. And why not, hop out of the airport for a few hours, get to experience the city, and then come back for my flight? Simple, right? And Brienne really thought she did all the research that was needed in order to have a seamless experience, but said experience could not have been further from seamless. So I flew into ICN, and what I knew from TikTok was that you actually had to travel to get to Seoul. And so I ended up taking the express train because I did want to maximize as much time as possible while in Seoul. Now, because I was going to be, exploring the city and didn't want to have like a ton of suitcases on me, I maxed out how much I could have put in my checked bag and therefore only had my backpack on me while I was going through Seoul. So, mind you, tons of consolidation and thought that I was doing my big one traveling late. Now, I have my list. I have my list just so I can keep track of everything. So, the flight from ICN to Seoul Station was about 50 minutes. And when I got off, I was like, I don't feel like I'm in the city. Which, by the way, I was also surprised when I learned that ICN was not in the city. I feel like anytime I've gone into an international airport, like you step out and it's like, we here. But that was not the case. So did the travel. And then by the time I got to Seoul, I was like, oh, it's cold. Like I had to wear my sweatshirt, and it was fascinating going from Bali, where it was, just very tropical, very warm, and plot twist, like now we in the middle of winter. But I get into the city, and I realized that going back to that consolidation note that I made, I had taken out my adapter. Like I took out a full pouch, forgot that my universal adapter for charging was in that pouch, as well as my debit cards, all except for two. I had two debit cards on me. And so I'm like, okay. Oh, wait, no, I didn't have any debit cards. I had two credit cards on me. So there were no debit cards in the mix, okay? So that happened. When I realized that I don't have my charger on me, I then go to this place called Metcha, Metcha. There's a ton of those. It's almost like a Starbucks when you think of like you can find some on several street corners. So I went to one of them, and I will say this was a highlight from the extravaganza I experienced was that Metcha had this strawberry cream matcha, and it genuinely tasted like strawberry cheesecake. It was by far the best strawberry matcha I have ever had in my life. And usually when you go into a coffee shop and you're like, hey, can I just put my phone on your charger really quick? And, I'm a tourist and just trying to ensure that I have enough charge to enjoy the full day, because I had I think I had like 4 or 5 hours of just like dilly-dallying, so I thought. So I get in there, and they're like no one is letting me use the charger, not the ladies behind the counter, not the people who are, working. I literally sat beside a girl who had her laptop and her her laptop and her iPad out, and I saw that she had the USB-C for her iPad. And so I was like, hey, do you mind if I just use your charger for USB-C for like 5-10 minutes? And then she goes, no, I'm actually leaving, packs up her stuff and just like leaves out. Now, maybe she did have something going on, but when I'm coming from somewhere like Bali where everyone is just leaning in and wanting to help and ensure that you're having a good experience. Being met by that, I was like, wait, none of y'all are gonna let me use your chargers? And I literally see them like in your hand. So that was a bit frustrating. I go to 7-Eleven from there because I'm like, okay, at least I can, get a charger from 7-Eleven. But I forget what happened. I can't remember what happened at 7-Eleven, but I wasn't able to get a charger from there. So now, um, so I end up leaving Mecha and I'm like, okay, let me just like charge my phone using my laptop because I, could use the USB-C cord from my laptop to my phone. So I charge up my phone as much as possible and I'm like, cool, I'll just use my DJI for filming and then I'll conserve my phone battery. Now I did need to use my phone for the GPS because I had to get around the city and, go to the various tourist spots that I was interested in and the food spots and all that. So I'm mindful of my phone battery. I then am like, okay, maybe I can just like ask around again. So I go to another restaurant. Nobody is allowing me to use their charger. And there are some people who just like flat out did not respond to me when I had asked, which I mean, I get it. Like I am in their home country, but I was also showing like my Google Translator, which is another reason I needed my phone. And it was just like, you would think I was invisible. It was fascinating. And I was like, not in a good way. I was like, okay, we're not in Bali anymore. Got it. So from there, I'm like, my sisters really wanted me to get some skincare products for them from Olive Young. Olive Young is one of the big, like, think of like the equivalent of Sephora, but for Korean skincare. And so I go in there, but it is so overwhelming because everything is in Korean. And so I'm like showing pictures to the people who work there, like, do you have this? Like, where can I find this? And they'll just like point in a direction. And I'm like, there's so many different products like in that corner. And I would go over there, couldn't find the product. I would come back and then they would literally just keep working on what they were doing. Like, wouldn't even pay me any mind. I was like, okay, I am overwhelmed. I am also someone who naturally is not a shopper unless it's online or I know exactly what I'm going in for. So I'm already like very overwhelmed when I'm in big stores. Like think of like a Forever 21 type of equivalent where it's just like there is a bit of rhyme to reason, but not really. And so I end up just leaving because I'm overwhelmed, but I'm also like, no one's trying to help me. Like, I just need to get these 3 products. And I think I ended up finding one of them. And I was like, honestly, whatever. So then I leave there. And right up the street from the Olive Young was a Michelin restaurant that people had been raving about on TikTok. So I go into this restaurant and I learned that they have like these kiosks where you actually order your food. And then from the kiosk, you get like a slip. And then you go upstairs and somehow they find you with the slip. I don't remember how all it worked because that was almost 2 years ago now. But I remember asking for help because I couldn't figure out how to use the kiosk. And the lady that was supposed to be like the concierge literally looked me in my eyes as I was showing her like my Google Translate and asking for help and turned her back and helped someone else. And I was just like, wait, is this blatant? It just didn't make sense to me. And so eventually was able to get someone else to help me, another tourist. And so I go upstairs and what I learned was that I don't know if this is like cultural across all of South Korea, but I sat at a table for like 4 seats at the table and we were all strangers to each other. Like you just like sit with people at at tables, and that's of course like not something that we're used to here when it comes to like a full sit down restaurant experience. And so I was like, okay, this is different, but I can get with it because it was, different culture. And so they bring my food to me and I'm looking around like, can I have chopsticks? Like chopsticks, like and forks. And the lady across from me, she laughs and she's like, it's under the drawer. So that was a cool thing to learn as well, is that the utensils are actually in the drawer under the table. Nonetheless, I was already a bit peeved that like there was just no type of like courtesy or help when I was trying to order food. And then also this is on the heels of the Olive Young experience. And then also on the heels of the experience at Metro where no one was willing to help me like with getting a charger. And so then I'm like walking around the touristy area, and I think that's probably where I felt like I was able to just breathe and of course do me. And it was really cute. Like I do think that it's a very I don't remember the exact name of the neighborhood I was in, but it was nice to like say I laid eyes on Seoul, but I honestly, we don't have to go back, but there's more. Okay. So so I'm walking through the like the touristy neighborhood, get to see a whole bunch of like beautiful, what do you call them? Tourist spots. I can't think of the name. Tourist attractions. There we go. And yeah, I'm like, let me head back to the train station because I need to just make sure I'm early for the train. And then I'm also timing things properly for my flight. So I'm heading back to the train station and I'm like, okay, when I went to the kiosk in the airport, I was able to just use my credit card and pay for my ticket. Now, when I get to the kiosk to pay for my train ticket back, it doesn't accept credit cards. And so now I'm in a bit of a panic because I'm like, I don't have my debit cards, but what I do have are some rupiah from Bali. And so they have this currency exchange machine. I put the rupiah in to get won, and there's no, like, they don't accept rupiah. So now I'm like, okay, they don't take my credit card. They won't take the currency I have. So I go to the ATM machine. The ATM machine doesn't take American credit cards. And so now the tears and the anxiety just start flowing. And I'm like, what am I going to do? I had no choice but to beg. I think I only reached out to like 2 or 3 couples. But at this point, I'm like, I have my backpack on. I'm like, I can Cash App y'all. Like my phone, I had enough battery on my phone to be like, I can Cash App you however much it is. If you can buy me a ticket, like I will pay you. And the first couple, they were like, no, they probably, whatever. Like, but thankfully there was a couple, they shared that they were from England, and I was like, PayPal, Cash App, Venmo, like whatever you need, I can Cash App you, and I'll also give you like double because I just need to get on this train so I can get back to the airport. And so at first they were hesitant, like I definitely could tell. And then they found out, like they got the ticket and it was only $2 US. So they were like, don't even worry about it with the PayPal. Like, and I just burst out crying. I was like, thank you so much. Like I know this sounds crazy, but like I really just need to get to, I need to get to the airport. I showed them my passport. I was like, you know, this genuinely, like I'm stuck. So thank God that humanity is still alive in pockets. But okay, cool. So we get the ticket. Now the Seoul station is massive. Like I think the complexity is, I'm trying to, like Grand Central may be like similar, but there's multiple floors. There's different sections for like local transit versus like getting outside of Seoul. And I'm just like thinking that I am on the right path. I'm then trying to tap my card and it won't let me through the gate. And I'm trying to tell the gate person, like I paid for this ticket and here's the receipt. And like, I need to get to the airport. But it was almost as if I was inconveniencing him by asking for help. And so now I'm going around Seoul Station trying to find the help button so that I can at least get to the operators. The operators are also giving me the same type of energy, like, what? And I'm like, what? Ooh, so eventually I have to go find the operator's office because I'm like, I need to see someone and show them this is the ticket that I have. It says to the airport and I need to get on this train. Eventually, they tell me like I had to go all the way around the building, go down some stairs. It was a mess. And by the time I got to the airport, I was like, I need to take a shower. So I get to the lounge, check in, all that jazz. My checked bag is already going through to the flight from Seoul to Seattle. So I get to the lounge. I'm like, I just need to shower, charge up my phone, because they had the outlets that work for the US in the lounges. I get to that lounge. Buddy is like, oh, your flight's actually leaving early. You might want to run. They're on final boarding. I remember when I say I hauled ass, I don't think I've ever sprinted through an airport faster. And Seoul's airport is huge. I get there, they're on the final boarding call, and I'm also just like, how was I supposed to know? Because my phone was dead. I had no idea that there were notifications. And yes, as I talk through this, I'm like, Brian, you should have just double, triple checked that you had your universal charger. But the reality was that while I was in Bali and in Thailand as well, my US charger plugged in perfectly fine to the outlets. And so it wasn't an issue with the hotels I was staying at and the cafes I was at and all that jazz. We live and we learn. So I want to leave y'all with 3 big pieces of advice here, okay? By the way, she did not end up getting her shower. I ended up showering in the Delta Lounge when I got to Seattle. And I slept for most of that flight. I was exhausted. So 3 big pieces of advice. 1, make sure that you are converting whatever cash you have to won whenever you're in the ICN airport. You can do, just try to calculate how much you plan to spend while you're in the city if you do choose to go out and about during your layover. So get that won. 2, make sure that you have your universal adapter. And it was a very interesting one. I don't even think my adapter would have fit in because it was circular. It's hard to explain. So make sure that you have an adapter that works for South Korea. And the 3rd thing I would say is just don't expect, especially if you're coming from somewhere like Thailand or Bali, don't expect for the level of friendliness and smiles and courtesy and hospitality to be. Don't expect that type of energy in Seoul. Maybe you'll have a different experience for mine, but the way that people were not trying to pay me any mind, I was just like, oh, never again. Unless I'm going there for some type of skincare procedure or work trip or something, I have no business being there ever again, at least by myself. That was 3. The 4th thing, make sure that you give yourself enough time to navigate any complications in the Seoul station specifically. So that was something that's advice I took from other TikTok girlies, and I'm glad that I took that advice because that at least gave me a buffer to navigate the chaos that I was experiencing to get back to the airport. So the food was good. The matcha was good. The tourist attractions were cute. Everything else felt like a nightmare, and I'm gonna just leave it right there. Yeah, if you enjoyed this video and you enjoyed hearing my painful woes that I navigated in Seoul, do me a favor, like and subscribe. And tomorrow's video, and I will see you tomorrow, hopefully on a happier note. And I will see you in tomorrow's video, hopefully on a happier note. Okay. So if you did enjoy this video, just listening to my traumatic layover experience in Seoul, please do me a favor, like and subscribe, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye.